objectives of professionals and practitioners in communication. So, what is professionals and practitioners in communication? Professional communication encompasses written, oral, visual, and digital communication within a workplace context. This discipline blends together pedagogical principles of rhetoric, technology, software, and learning theory to improve and deliver communication in a variety of settings ranging from technical writing to usability and digital media to more effectively communicate in the business world. Since communication is a rapidly changing area, technological progress seems to often outpace the number of available expert practitioners. This creates a demand for skilled communicators. The goal of professional communication training is to provide professionals with an understanding of the concept and the skills required to communicate in a professional manner. Always use a greeting using the person's title like Doctor, Miss, Mr., and etc. in your workplace, regardless of differences. Communication practitioners have very wide range professional responsibilities ranging from the almost ubiquitous, for example, media, relations, public relations, communication, strategy, crisis communications, and public policy, to those that are less common such as investors' relations, government. There are 4 objectives about this topic. First, identify the roles and functions of communications and journalists. They need to identify the positions and duties of a journalist and communicators. Second, describe the areas of specialization and careers that communicators and journalists pursue. Because there are areas of specialization and professions that communicators and journalists seek are identified. Third, understand and uphold the rights, responsibilities, and accountabilities of communicators and journalists. Understanding and protecting the privileges of communicators and journalists' obligations and transparency. And last, discuss ethical and unethical behavior among communication practitioners. Talk among communication professionals regarding ethical and unethical conduct.
Hi, my name is Shairme M. Sahar and I am here to discuss about roles and functions of communicators and journalists. A. Fiscalizers. It is often said that people in a government live in a fishbowl. When it's said fishbowl, it is often open to public view and criticism. So, every action of public official is seen by the people they served. It's important that our society has fiscalizers. Why? As fiscalizers, communicators and journalists examine government programs, analyze their pros and cons, and bring to public attention. To monitor the behavior of government officials and they make sure that they adhere Republic Act 6713 or the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards for Public Officials and Employees. B. Mobilizers. Communicators and journalists bring people together for action. They persuade people to attend conventions, political rallies, concerns, and demonstrations, among other activities. So here, mobilizers talk to people so they have listeners. C. Organizers. Communicators and journalists are good at organizing events. They search for the best venues, invite speakers, and plan the program and make sure that there will be an audience. Organizers plan where will be the activity will be held or what time, and they invite speakers to talk for their advocacy or activities to start. D. Opinion makers. Communicators and journalists often shape public opinion. They write columns and host public affairs programs to influence public opinion. Nowadays, other medium for shaping public opinion is social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter. And other we can use Instagram. In here, it totally says that we can post our opinions through networking, social networking like Facebook and Twitter, we can post and tweet our opinions. E. Gatekeepers. As gatekeepers, communicators, and journalists select, change, and or reject messages from other people. They also influence the flow of information between a source and a group of receivers. Gatekeepers exist in all forms of mass media. For instance, publishing houses may select only 10 out of 100 manuscripts for further review in the film of industry.
A leader. A leader is the only one in the charge, the person who convinced other people to follow. The most important qualities of a good leader include integrity, accountability, empathy, humility, resilience, vision, influence, and positivity. A person responsible for controlling or administering all or part of a company or similar organization. Managers are the people in the organization responsible for developing and carrying out this management process. Propagandist. A person who promotes or publicizes a particular organization or cause. A propagandist is a person who tries and persuades people to support a particular idea or a group, often by giving inaccurate information. Policy advocates. Policy advocates is the process of negotiating and mediating a dialogue through which influential networks, opinion leaders, and ultimately decision makers take ownership of your ideas, evidence, and proposals, and subsequently act upon them. Reformers. A reformer is someone who tries to change and improve something such as a law or a social system. Advertisers. Advertising is a marketing tactic involving paying for a space to promote a product, service, or cause. The actual promotional message are called advertisements or ads for short. The goal of advertising to reach people most likely to be willing to pay for a company's products or services and entice them to buy.
Public Relation Officer. As a public relation officer, communicators and journalists are considered with promoting the image of an organization or a company. The public relation officer communicate or corporate. Research, media organization, universities, private, corporation, and non-governmental organization employ to communicate, and journalists as a research. Areas of specialization. Broadcast communication. It involves providing the public with information through venues other than point media. Broadcast communication and graduates are also employed. Journalism. It involves the providing the public with information through print media. It aims to inform the public of what is going on in the society and them to critically. Filmmaking. It is the process of producing the directly motion pictures in filmmaking. Communicates and journalists become involved in story planning. Advertising. It involves selling a certain product or service to target customers. Public relation. It aims to create a positive image for a company or organization. Communicators and journalists help the organization and the public figures introduce themselves and projects. Theater arts. It involves live performance of actors or actresses portraying as a sequence of a scene, tells story to being witnessed by live audience. Communication research. It's used to both quantitative and qualitative methods of the social science to study the process, function, and effects of communication phenomena.
Rights, responsibilities, and accountabilities of communication and journalists. It is freedom of speech is one of the basic rights of the communicators and journalists which can be expressed through spoken or written. According to the Section 4 of Article 3 or the Bill of Rights, that the communicators and journalists has the right to express their thoughts about government. Moral Dilemmas in Communication Practice Center 2003. According to Center 2003, the moral dilemmas in communication practice has a conflict of interest that talks about the communicators and journalists might be attracted to accept freebies and gifts. Treatment of sources. Communicators and journalists need to be careful on their information they're getting. Method. Communicators and journalists tempted to conduct an ambush interview, level of publicity, both need to set and know their limits.
The Code of Ethics for Journalists. Number 1. Thoroughness. Journalists. This is the state of being strong enough to understand adverbs and the conditional thought handling and thoughtness of speech. This is most emphasize the necessary information of their reports. In the material of maternity thoughtness is the ability of materials to absorb energy to plastically deform without fracturing of the definition material thoughtness. This is advising the fact and to serve their own objectives. And this is also needs to correct errors and reporting immediately. Transparency and respect for confidentiality. This is the signal of journalist respect for audience. Also help to establishment. Journalist has a public interest. Motivate transparency. Avoid hiding information, especially it concern public interest. To retain the security and safety of our confidentiality and respect our individuals. Fairness, honesty, and originality. This one is when gathering representing information. Fairness, honesty, and originality present the information of the journalist to a person in integrity is fair. You are fair to give peer when you do own. 4. Density, integrity, and dignity. This journalist is most offending others when reporting or gathering information. This is paper undercues significance of person dignity and density and integrity at the core values and symbolic concepts to promote and avoid offending other while assembling information. Cautiousness is an example. They must be careful on uploading the confidential name of the clients, somebody, women, and minors involved in the tragedy. They must be maintain the suspect the safety until it proved guilty. Guiding principle for journalists. Facing the truth. These journalists are facing the truth and injustice and perceiving the truth first freedom to the community to ensure the insurance of the client for the confidential information and only the truth, also the power to speak and fight the problems. And they're against the problems, government and the society also. Unfolding transparency. Journalists must inform the audience of their source, gain, and then trust. These journalists inform the listener origin to gain, to trust. They also transparent about the feeling and wrong and correct them immediately. The audience are about truth info. Are the example or a certain topic was discussed instead another. The audience should be aware of their point of view and their approach in reporting information. Serving the community as their ultimate goal. This serving, like community service, a paid work performed a person or a group for the benefits and betterments of their community without any form of compensation. And this service is always aware of the demands. The community constantly collaborate with members without harming and offense of the member.
And I will be reporting the Code of Ethics for Broadcasters, the Kapisanan ng mga Broadcaster ng Pilipinas or the KBP. Association of the Broadcasters of the Philippines is a non-government or non-profit organization for broadcast media practitioners in the Philippines. And these are following some of the major elements of KBP's Code of Ethics. The News and Public Affairs. What is News and Public Affairs? The News and Public Affairs is the division produces news, public affairs infotainment, and lately entertainment programs. Next is cultural and tradition. It says that broadcasters and communicators should uphold Filipino values such as helpfulness and family ties. Okay? Or in short, broadcasters should respect the traditions of all individuals. And next is a national development and citizen welfare and involvement. Broadcaster must make and provide a chance for people to express their complaints. Okay? That's my point. To express their complaints about the crimes and ineffective government services. Next is accuracy and reliability. This does not only apply to news programs but also to programs that provide legal and medical advice. Upholding human rights and dignity. They must also be cautious in obtaining information from people who face emotional issues or need privacy. Next is decorum and respect for the law. Broadcasters must behave and be dressed appropriately according to the norms observed by people viewing the program. Okay, it says that the decorum and respect for the law, broadcasters must be dressed. Okay, to the viewers for the program. Next is qualifications and competence. They must be aware of both their professional and ethical responsibilities to the public and to everyone they work with. And all meaning that I am tackling right now, or I've been tackled right now, is my own explanations, okay? And the definitions, I summarize it. Thank you.